Hello and welcome to the Pig and Whistle Tales from Azeroth. As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go for a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. This episode we'll be going over the latest patch. We're going to be looking at a few bits and bobs that people might have a bit of concern about, just in the game in general, in the patch in general. And I'll be giving my thoughts on it and essentially giving you the lowdown of what is happening now that the patch is fully in swing. But we have the weekly news. As always, we have Shirai, who is the world boss located within Hallowfall. And we actually have our second world boss of the expansion. This is the Gobfather. This is a giant mechanical suit that is located within the Undermine, the very north, within the Cage of Carnage. This is where the new battleground essentially is. So it's a cool looking boss, but these are your two world bosses for the week. Battlegrounds and Pet Battles are your bonus events for the week. You get more honour from competing in Battlegrounds, as well as more XP for competing in Pet Battles. Very simple there. Cooking Impossible is your weekly... oh my god, there we go, brawl. I got it. It is your weekly brawl. This is essentially you bring 30 ingredients to your cooking pot. Very simple, very easy. You've got to do it before the Horde do it, or the Alliance, depending on who you're playing for. And Ascended and Oblivion are... or Ascended and Tyrannical, are your Mythic affixes for the week. Ascended is essentially the ad will drop down, or Xal'atath will spawn, and you simply kill Xal'atath. And Tyrannical, this means that the bosses have more health, and the mobs that they summon have more health and damage as well, so make sure you bring a talent build that can accommodate for that. So, I'm going to start off by addressing something that's quite a controversial thing. So, what keeps you playing retail instead of classic? As stated in the topic, I lost all interest in retail, and with Classic doing so well, I'm wondering who plays retail and for what reason. Now, some people have different thoughts on why they play retail. Some people don't like playing retail. Some people prefer playing Classic. Now, personally, the PvP for me is what brings me back to retail. I enjoy the PvP so much more than PvP in Classic, whether it be Cataclysm or Classic Era. It's just nowhere near as engaging. It really isn't. Classic PvP is very much rock, paper, scissors. If you're rock, you're going to lose to paper. If you're scissors, you're going to lose to paper. Or you're going to beat paper. If you're scissors, you're going to lose to rock. You know, that kind of deal. This is very much, well, for a lot of the classes anyway. So, mage versus warrior. Mage is rock. Warrior is scissors. You know, it's not going to go well for the warrior. If you go rogue mage, they're both scissors. So essentially, this is a very close matchup, and it's actually quite enjoyable. Whereas if you look at warlock versus anything, it's just an unkillable source of infinite healing damage and sustainability from the warlock. Whereas you're going to get folded like a piece of paper and kicked out of the door. Essentially, you've got no chance against a warlock. So, PvP, very much the thing that brings me back, as well as collecting old transmogs, even PvE to an extent. I did the Mythic Plus season last season, and I enjoyed it. I did it for about a month or two, and I really did enjoy, doing these things. But obviously Classic doesn't have that. I tried to play Classic Hardcore. I've done Classic Hardcore before. I got to level 60. I streamed all of it. I AoE grinded my way up there from Mage, from level 20 or whatever I was, and I hit level 60 purely through AoE grinding. The problem that I have with Hardcore is that it gets too boring. Genuinely, it's too boring. Classic is too slow for me. And it's just too slow for my brain in general. This is why I need to play something that is a lot more stimulating. And that is what retail does for me. It just does. So probably the stimulation of my brain is what it does, retail, and that's what brings me back to it. But I get that some people just want to chill on Classic, and Classic is a lot more, I guess, user-friendly when it comes to playing the game, because you simply, walk up to a mob, you start stabbing it, And that's kind of what you do for 10 seconds and then it's dead. And then you ding and then you get another spell. And this spell you might actually press, and you press it and it doesn't do a lot of damage. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's the only spell I can press. So you press it. You know, it's not as engaging. It really, really isn't. I don't know. It's a weird one. But a lot of it is down to PvP, PvE, and just the quality of life improvements in general that are within retail. I really don't enjoy how long the game takes. And this is someone who's got enough time to play Classic and to level in Classic. I just don't enjoy it. It's so slow and it puts me to sleep. Genuinely, I've almost fallen asleep playing Classic because how boring it is for me. That's my opinion. It is very boring. It might not be to other people because it might be. Retail might just be very tough to play for other people, and that's fine. Or they just don't enjoy the gameplay mechanic or the aesthetics or anything like that. And that's fine. I understand that. But the main reason would be PvP for me. It's just so much better than any sort of like Classic can offer, really. Up until about, I would probably say, Warlords of Draenor. That's when PvP started to get a bit enjoyable for like the current like season or the current sort of World of Warcraft, I guess. That's when it started to become a bit more enjoyable, Warlords of Draenor. The next one I want to talk about is, so is this game dead? Now, this is one that obviously pops up quite a few times. Is this game dead? Oh my god, dead game, ridiculous game, like dead game, like been dead for 5-10 years. It isn't dead. Alright, before I even read this, the game isn't dead. It's in a very healthy state. The game looks dead because this person's either playing Classic, and it's a Classic server that has been, you know, re-released 20 times already, and the Classic sort of population has been spread out across 5 different Classic platforms, as well as 50 different servers, or it's someone just trying to rage bait. Let's see. I'm looking through dungeon lists. I see no keystones for Rookery. The one I did get into, we waited 30 minutes for a tank, then DPS went AFK, then tank left. Couldn't find another keystone in the group finder at all. Could hardly even find sign-ups for Gallywix, which is crazy because it's the last boss. Do I just take the L and move on already? Okay. So firstly, not many people are playing during the week. So this guy posted this 9 hours ago, as of when I was recording, and this brings it to around, I'm going to say this is EU. I want to double check. Yeah, this is EU forum. So this is around 6 p.m. Okay, as of when I'm recording, you know, this is 9 hours after. This is 6 p.m. So who is playing not midweek, but well, yeah, midweek at 6 p.m. Like, it's just not happening. There aren't going to be that many raids. There aren't going to be that many, like, mythics going on, okay? A lot of people, when it comes to the start of the Mythic Plus season, it's a slow burner. It gradually grows, okay? This is the same for PvP, PvE. PvP especially because you can't really grind out all of the gear that you want, so it takes so many weeks to grind all that gear out. It really is annoying. But, yeah. Essentially, it takes a few weeks to, you know, put on the burners and everyone starts playing Mythic Plus, PvP, etc. People will be having their dinner around this time. People will be coming home from work around this time. People will be, like, wanting to just chill out and not, like, immediately go into, like, a normal end boss raid kind of deal. Yeah, it makes no sense. If you were to do this on a weekend, you're going to obviously get so many more people, like, sign up, essentially. You're going to get so many more sign up. But what annoys me is this. Yes, the game is dead. In fact, it has been dead since Cataclysm. Just look at the comments in the forums, and you can tell. That being said, in spite of being dead, it has remained the #1 MMO in the known universe. So maybe it would be better to say that it is undead. Can't tell if this guy's trolling, can't tell if he's being serious, but I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt and hopefully say that he's not being serious, but this is ridiculous. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. The game isn't dead. It has probably like 5 to 6 mil. I'm guessing somewhere around that. If we're going to be super like shitty with it, I'm gonna say 3 mil. We'll say 3 mil. That's like low estimations, all right? And because at its very peak back in Wrath the Lich King, it was at 12 mil, I believe, like concurrent player basis, something like that. But I think that it's still holding a healthy amount for an MMO. The reason people think it's dead is because the amount of servers that are on the game, the amount of different World of Warcrafts that are out now, it's just ridiculous. Okay? You're telling me that you want the game to feel like an MMO when people are split between so many different servers and World of Warcraft. So you have retail, not to mention all of the different servers that are on there. You have like 30 plus different servers that you can choose from on retail alone. Okay? And then you're further like slimming this down by who turns on war mode, who doesn't have war mode on. Very simple. Okay? Then you're telling me that we have Cataclysm Classic. And even this has some like servers. This has like several to teen servers, something like that. So you're splitting the player base up there. And then you have Classic, like Classic. This is the anniversary realm. So Classic, the normal one that's going to go into TBC. You have multiple servers there. You have Classic Hardcore. Again, it's only one server, but it does take some people away from Classic. And then you have Classic Era servers. These are about 4 to 5 sort of Classic Era servers that people have been spread out on and essentially split up. And not many people inhabit these servers now that Classic is out, which is ridiculous, by the way. And then you have, there was one more, Season of Discovery. Again, multiple people were playing Season of Discovery. So you're spreading all of these people out. And again, there's loads of servers on Season of Discovery. So you're spreading these people out across, how many even was that? How many did I count? Let's just say in total about 100 servers. No, there's going to be way more. There's going to be way more because you have the Italian servers, Spanish servers, Russian servers. You have loads. Okay, there's way more. There's probably more like 200 to 300. Okay, somewhere along that range. So yes, it's going to feel dead at times, but because that's the player base going, oh, we want classic, we want a fresh classic start again. And it's like, no, it's just going to deplete the servers. It really is. Like, some people will not want this and stay on the server that is like low population now. Some people will move on over there. And then when TBC comes out, it's going to be, oh, we want classic. And it's like, are you fucking stupid? Are you actually stupid? You're just depleting the sort of player base, not depleting the player base further, but you're making it look as though you're just breeding dead realms, essentially. These are dead realms that very few people play on, and then these people go on the forums and be like, oh my god, this realm is dead, the game's dead, awful game, Blizzard, fix this game, like, make new servers again so that loads of people play. And it's like, that doesn't fix it. Having less servers is what fix it. But then people go, oh my god, the lag, why are people like layering? Why do Blizzard need layering in this game? Like, just let everyone lag and they have to deal with it. And it's like, you cannot win. You cannot win. But the game isn't dead. The game really isn't dead. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. It's just always been a little pet peeve of mine that the game isn't dead at all. People need to just realise that we as a community are self-sabotaging ourselves by saying, yeah, we need like more servers and different WoWs and stuff. And it's like, yes, classic WoW, that's fine. I'm completely fine with like classic WoW being a thing. Okay. I personally think that when it got to Wrath of the Lich King, it should have maybe started over again. Okay. But I see why they didn't do it. I see why they went into Cataclysm and are going into Mists of Pandaria, because people hadn't experienced these expansions before. And I think that's great. I think that people need to experience these expansions, because I have very fond memories of Mists of Pandaria. I had quite good memories of Warlords of Draenor. I just think that it lacked content. Like, it really was just a drought. So I think that these are good things that have happened. But I think that eventually it should have went back to classic. And I think that they would have done this after Legion, and that they should have done this after Legion. Okay? Because what this meant was Classic came out in 2019. Okay? If you go by the dates, Legion Classic will be out in around 2029. Yeah, somewhere around that. Okay? After this would mean it would have been 10 plus years since Classic had released. And guess what? 10 plus years is definitely more than enough time to go back to Classic, okay? And this would have been a bigger nostalgia trip than going back to Classic now, because it's just ridiculous, okay? It is absolutely ridiculous. But this way, there would have been only 2 WoWs. There would have been Legion, and there would have been the whatever it might be, like going forward, the retail version of World of Warcraft. And you would have had Classic era servers. These Classic era servers would have stayed there, and that's fine. And people would have gotten their fill of the Classic era servers. They would have had a completed character, like a full BIS character with Atiesh, all their tier 3 gear, you know, best trinkets, best rings, all of that stuff. And then, you know, the Classic re-release is going to happen after Legion Classic, and it's like, oh my god, that's amazing, like hype again. And then once that does, all of the Legion, or everything that you had from that Classic server, is kind of filtered into retail. So you can keep the transmogs, you can keep the cosmetics, the toys, the mounts that you got from these expansions. And I think that that's what should happen, in my honest opinion. When it gets to the end of like the first Classic, I think that that's what should happen. It should filter into like retail. You should be able to keep the transmogs that you have, to keep the mounts that you earn all throughout this, so that, you know, you could have the Atiesh, you can have Benediction, you can have your Shadowmourne, you can have what are the other like legendary weapons, you know, that kind of thing, that have been taken out of the game. But like Lockdalar, you can have these in retail. I don't know. Look, that I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I think that that's what should have happened. I can see why they've done Classic, but I think it's too early for me. The whole point of going back to Classic was a nostalgia trip. And 15 years after the release of World of Warcraft, amazing. Absolutely amazing to experience Classic World of Warcraft. And I had a good time. I did have a good time. I'm upset about the raiding experience I had. That's all. I think if you gave it up until Legion Classic had been done, I think it would have been enough time for everyone to get hyped about Classic again and the re-release and actually enjoy it. I genuinely do. And I think that that's where they've kind of gone wrong. I don't know what they have planned in the future, but again, it's probably going to be another Classic release, and that's just going to make the game feel more dead in some people's eyes, because it's another server, another World of Warcraft to tend to almost. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It really is a tough one to like get into, I guess. But I'm gonna end it off with my thoughts on the Undermine. So the Undermine is all right. It's your usual 0.1 patch, and what I mean by the usual 0.1 patch is very much there's a few bits and bobs to do. It's got a feel of a zone that's heaped with so much lore in it or behind it, with it being the goblins' sort of, you know, home essentially, apart from Kazan that obviously like blew up because of a volcano. It's tough. The story's good. I like how they're leading into the sort of raids with these stories. I am going to check out the raid myself when the story mode releases. I think that was this week or next week. So I am going to check that out because I want to see the raid for myself. I want to see the bosses. I want to see how cool it is. And I think that the story mode for the raids, the dungeons and stuff, is really, really good. I am so proud that they put that back into the game. And people need to appreciate this a lot more. They really do, because that is such a good mode to have. The story mode, like you can encounter or you can experience the raid from NPCs in your group rather than players, because this takes 5 to 10 minutes to do, and you get to experience the story or the ending of the story, of the zone, I should say, for that patch. And I think that this is really good and does help a lot of people to overcome that problem, because people have had that in the past where, yes, they don't get to see the end of the zone because they don't raid. They just simply don't raid. They don't enjoy it. So it's really good that they've put this into the game from the start of the War Within, and I'm glad that they're carrying it on. As for the questing, I think it's solid. But the look of the zone, I don't like it. I've never liked anything goblin related. I cannot get my head around it. I love the idea of it, though. I love the whole... It really encapsulates what goblins are. Okay, entrepreneurs, money makers, they're just trying to... They're quite grubby and smart at the same time in terms of the gadgetry they make. It really does have a goblin feel, but that's probably the problem with it for me. I just don't like anything that's goblin related. Give me void stuff. Give me like light stuff. Give me burning legion stuff. All of that good stuff. Goblin, nah, not for me. Give me gnome stuff. Give me like night elf or shit. Even orcs, like stuff like that, because it's just cool. Goblins are just a bit meh. They're knockoff gnomes. Come on, let's face it. Then gnomes are just way better than goblins. Overall, I would give the zone itself, with all the quest related and stuff, with all of the aesthetics, with the raid, I would give it a 6 out of 10. I can't give it more than that, mainly because I just can't. I think that there's a decent amount. And again, I think the drive system really does help it out a bit. I think that the drive system will be very good, but that's going to be a bit tedious to do in the open world. They definitely need to make more stuff where it's like you can drift a lot better, in my honest opinion, and control the mount a bit more, because the rest of the world of Warcraft isn't necessarily going to be built for this. Okay, the newer zones, the zones that come out after this, will have that in mind, but the ones that are currently in the game, they are not built for it, so might need to adjust a couple things for it, but honestly, it's not bad. I would say it's a 6 out of 10. I think that's a very generous 6, genuinely. I've not done much of the season, though, and the season is kind of what impacts my rating on this, because I haven't done a lot of the mythics, I haven't done a lot of the PvP yet, so... We'll see. We'll see how it is balancing wise. All I know is Disc Priest is kind of busted right now. I know that Destro Lock is kind of broken. But yeah, we will see. We certainly will. But that is it for this episode. Thank you all very much for listening. Do check out all of the socials down below. Constant stuff happening over there, as well as the Etsy shop. Multiple things being put up there on a daily basis. I have something else going up there very soon in the next couple of days. It is a very unique weapon from World of Warcraft. It is one that may or may not be able to split into 2 blades. You might know it, but, you know, I'll leave that for you to guess. But that's going up there in the next couple of days, so keep an eye on it. Thank you all very much once again, and go with Valor, friend. Goodbye, all.